Hello and welcome or welcome back to Unwinding Minds. If you're new here, hi, I'm Rosie. I'm a counsellor who specialises in working with chronic illness and neurodivergence. As the chill has started to enter the breeze, the nights have started to grow longer and the leaves have begun to turn crunchy underfoot. It feels like the perfect season to talk about something that lurks in the shadows all year round: fear. Halloween is a time that we play with fright. We might watch horror movies about the undead, light candles in the dark, or let ourselves be startled for fun. But fear is a natural part of life, and it doesn't always disappear with the morning light. Fear can grow into something much more powerful, more consuming, something that we call a phobia. That's the focus for today's episode, to explore what phobias really are, how they affect our lives, and most importantly, how we can begin to soothe ourselves, work with therapy, and find kindness towards ourselves, even when fear feels overwhelming. Let's start by explaining what a phobia is clearly. A phobia isn't just being a little bit uncomfortable or nervous about something. It's a strong, ongoing fear or worry about a particular object, situation, or activity. The key point when you're trying to figure out which is which is that the fear is usually much bigger than the real danger that it presents in a phobia. For example, whilst I know that some people keep spiders as pets and love them dearly, many people might prefer not to be close to a spider. But disliking spiders differs from someone with arachnophobia, who might feel unable to enter a room if they think there's a spider inside. I put my hand up to the fear of spiders. They have too many legs, and therefore they cannot be trusted. Similarly, a person who fears flying might avoid going on holidays, family visits, or work trips, despite the fact that flying is safe most of the time. In reality, a phobia is a kind of anxiety disorder. It happens because the brain's threat detection system gets it wrong, and it becomes overactive, responding to the stimulus as if there's a dangerous fire, when actually it's just a flicker of flame. Phobias can come to be for many different reasons, and usually there isn't just one cause. Sometimes they start after a scary or upsetting life experience, like being bitten by a dog as a child, for example, which later turns into a fear of all dogs. Other times we absorb them through watching others. Maybe you saw a parent or sibling react very strongly to something, and you started to react the same way as well. There's also a biological component to consider as well. Our brains are naturally wired to be cautious of certain things, like heights, darkness, snakes, or spiders, because those dangers were very real to our ancestors. Also, feeling anxious or stressed can make it easier to develop a phobia. It's a bit like your mind has this built-in watchdog to protect you, but sometimes it overreacts and decides to bark at the shadows. And it's worth saying here, phobias are common. You're not strange if you struggle with a phobia, and you are also not weak if you're living with one. In fact, some studies suggest that millions of people in the UK live with phobias of various kinds. It's simply that your brain, this beautiful, complicated, protective organ, is working overtime to try and keep you safe. Halloween gives us a playful reminder of fear, but for those with phobias, I know it's far from fun. It can feel like a shadow following you everywhere, keeping you trapped in place. Phobias can affect us in ways both large and small. Sometimes it's obvious, the person who cannot step onto an airplane no matter how hard they try. And sometimes it's more subtle, avoiding social invitations in case a fear is triggered, or changing routines to make life feel safer. For example, someone with agoraphobia may start avoiding crowded places at first, and slowly they might find themselves avoiding leaving the house at all. The idea of going outside of their room even might become stiflingly frightening, and it may be hard to pinpoint why. And these changes to your patterns carry a cost. Lost opportunities, strained relationships, and a sense of living in a much smaller world than we could be living in. There are many kinds of counselling which are great in helping to support us through phobias, such as CBT, or for some people, exposure therapy can be really effective. In my private practice, when we approach a phobia, a lot of working through it starts with trying to understand the origin of the fear, then seeing ways that it's impacting us in the day-to-day, and from there often looking at warmer ways of approaching yourself to work through the fear, if that's the desired outcome, of course. There are a lot of techniques that I use with clients when we have a grasp together on the phobia or fear. We usually explore the effects on the body because fear floods the body with adrenaline, leading us to go into fight, flight, freeze, fawn, or flop. When we recognize the impacts that this has on the body, we can work to give the body something different. By practicing calming techniques or distraction, we can help remind the body that we are safe. That might be through deep breathing, mindfulness, gentle movement, or grounding exercises. And those techniques would very much change based on how accessible they are for you if I were working with you directly. For instance, when a fear arises, if you struggle to control your breathing due to an issue with your lungs or your heart, you might try the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique instead of a breathing technique. And we have a separate video on how to do the 5 senses grounding if you're interested in that. It anchors you in the present moment, away from the storm. Techniques like this act as great companions to talking about the fear and getting familiar with ourselves and what we want to do with the fear once we're aware of it. It doesn't always involve using specific techniques though. I'm a person-centered counsellor, which means that my focus is on what the person in front of me says they need. Techniques are just tools for your tool belt, and everybody works a little differently. In my years of experience, compassion is usually a big part of the picture. Listen, I know how frustrating it is to feel that you don't have control of your life, that you've lost out on living parts of life that were meaningful to you. I also know that it's classic human nature to turn frustration inwards. If you have a phobia, you didn't ask for things to be this way. It's a horrible feeling to be overwhelmed with fear to the point of freezing. And when we live with a phobia, it's easy to become harsh with ourselves. You might experience thoughts like, well, other people can cope, so why can't I? Or feeling like you're weak for struggling. But therapy invites us to take a kinder approach towards ourselves. Counselling offers a safe, non-judgmental space where your fear is taken seriously. A therapist won't laugh and they won't push you beyond what you can handle. If they do laugh at you, please point them in my direction so that I can hit them with a big stick, because that's not cool. Instead, a good counsellor will sit with you gently as you explore what lies beneath. Sometimes phobias are linked to past events and experiences, as I said, and sometimes they're not. Either way, being truly heard and understood is a deeply healing process. You might have never been able to open up about your experiences and fears, and you can take the opportunity to explore the fear with someone at your side to help you. You don't have to walk alone, and you don't have to find the way without light. Halloween reveals something deeply fascinating about our relationship to fear. During the spooky season, we willingly invite it in with open hearts. We press play on a creepy film, knowing it will make us jump, thrill us in a moment of bravery. We willingly surrender ourselves to things we normally wouldn't, like stepping into haunted houses, surrounded by cobwebs and creaking floorboards, or all eager for that rush of being spooked. Because in those moments we feel alive. It can be electric and exciting for many of us. The reason this feels exciting, even joyful, is because somewhere deep inside we know we're safe. The zombie on the screen isn't real. The ghost in the corner is just an actor or bad CGI. That playful fear comes with boundaries that we choose. It's contained, crafted for fun, something we want to experience and embrace. But phobias are something entirely different. Why? Because they don't feel like choices. They arrive uninvited, like shadows slipping silently beneath the door, relentless in their presence. They are all of the fear with none of the softness of being playful. They feel overwhelming, confusing, and sometimes even paralyzing. When we're caught in a grip of a phobia, it's important to remember and reassure ourselves that we're safe. Instead, every nerve screams at us that the danger is real, immediate, unstoppable when we're experiencing a phobia. There is a glimmer of hope, though. With compassion, patience, and gentle practice, we can reclaim that same feeling of choice and safety that Halloween night offers. Therapy, self-kindness, and gradual exposure can allow us to turn down the volume on our fear. So instead of fleeing from it, we can learn to sit beside it, observe its shape, soften its edges, and realize that it doesn't hold all of the power and it does not control you. Picture this with me if you will. It's Halloween night. A candle's flickering softly and shadows are dancing along the walls and the wind is howling outside. At first, a shiver might course through you, a rush of fear. But then you recall, you're wrapped snug under a blanket, holding a warm drink, safe in your own home. Slowly, those shadows lose their threatening edge. They merely become part of the candle's gentle glow. The same truth can transform your experience with a phobia. At first, the fear may seem insurmountable, impossible to face. But with time, kindness, and support, it can become something you meet with steadiness, rather than with panic. Like those Halloween shadows, it gradually begins to lose its grip. It may never vanish entirely, and that's perfectly okay. Fear is part of what makes us human. But on the other side of that journey, it no longer controls you. You can carry the lantern in your own hands, and you can choose to be playful when it comes to fear again. If you stuck with me to the end of this video, thank you. I really appreciate you for sticking it out. If you found this video interesting or helpful, you can like it, you can subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to make sure that you don't miss any more. We cover a huge range of aspects of chronic illness, disability, neurodivergence, and mental health on this channel, and we do upload very regularly. You can also check the description if you are interested in working with me on a one-to-one basis around phobias and fears, as I do offer private counselling. To those who celebrate, Happy Halloween or Samhain. Thank you so much for watching and take really good care.